My best bet, pizza serve. My best bet, pizza
Yeah,
serve.
best that I can do. Yeah,
Tell you.
yeah.
Designing in your face. Designing love. Designing in your face. Don't know what to design today, but there's just one thing I know for sure. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Designing Last. I'm your host, Devin, and today we're in for a special treat. They always talk about the design process, but today I'm really going to not only talk about it, but show you in real time with a real example of a sort of a case study, but also it's just good design and something that relates to our brand here at Def. And we're proud to also not only talk more about the process about it, but also give you the behind the scenes, give you some great insights on how you can be part of what we got building here at Def and how it relates to branding, most importantly, all here on Design Last on today's episode of the podcast. However, I gotta start today's episode off by answering a question that I have for my own self. And the question is fire. Like, it's really, really good. That's Steph. You gotta keep on growing, baby. That's Steph. That's Steph. You gotta keep on showing, baby. That's Steph. You gotta keep on growing, baby. That's Steph. That's Steph. You gotta keep on showing, baby. First off, I got something to say. Dev dog, I ain't coming to wait. Devin, main state to claim. Help out when you are to blame. Your craft, Steph. You gotta keep on growing, baby. That's Steph. That's Steph. You gotta keep on showing, baby. That's Steph. You gotta keep on growing, baby. That's Steph. That's Steph. You gotta keep on showing, baby. Crazy creative, ain't no one hating. It's crazy creative, ain't no one hate, that's why it's Def. Second, I got news for you. We do what we want to do. Is it right point of view? Research, Devin, who knew? That's Def. You gotta keep on growing, baby, that's Def. That's Steph, you gotta keep on showing, baby. That's Steph. You gotta keep on growing, baby. That's Steph. That's Steph. You gotta keep on showing, baby. How come they didn't tell me about all the things that go into being a creator beforehand? You know, like, no one told me the insights when it comes down to what it really means to be a creative and be the boss per se of your own journey or your own creative endeavors. And I think it's important that we talk about that as well here on today's episode of the podcast. So I'm going to do that right now. You know, as a creative, to answer my own question, I would say this. I've learned that burnout, imposter syndrome, so many other different psychological things go into building a brand, and those things should be handled very carefully with discernment and effort and with patience and with compassion, and they need to be handled with understanding, and you have to be consistent, most importantly. I've learned that that's the only way you can avoid those things. Those things do come, and thank God that here at Def we haven't had those be a major part on our journey, but we would be lying to say if we don't recognize those things really do occur in the creative field as a for anybody, and we're not above that saying that it can't never happen, but it hasn't happened. So we're thankful and grateful that that's not the case here at Death. So let's address that and say that first on hand, because though we can understand that and we can have empathy and can put ourselves in other people's position, sorry, yes, there's no what it's like. I think that's what sets us apart here at Death, because we've been working here with this rebrand of the design firm or design studio, which is a full service branding studio, but we're not your traditional branding design studio. That's what separates us right there. We don't just do things, just in print. And don't get me wrong, print is still an important aspect of design, but that's not where we're headed as a company. We really are living in the digital age uh, as a thought-provoking, innovative company that is pushing the envelopes with our own storytelling and our own principles and design concepts that further promote not only the brand but also promote the community that the brand supports, whether it be other brands within industries like Nike, Vans, Liquid Death, uh, the list goes on and on. There's a whole bunch of other Adobe, Squarespace, and so many other big brands that have all in their own industries have had an impact on the culture as a whole, but also give back. And that's what's also important when it comes down to what we try to do when our storytelling as well. Uh, so if you haven't already watched our web series, that's a prime example of just organic, original content that we are putting out there for everyone to enjoy. And the further feedback we get, the more we can understand of how we can better, build on this community and be able to get more people involved. We don't want it to be a thing of what we say goes and that's how it is, because we know that the community is bigger than us, but at the same time we are the community. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop, however you want to blame it, as far as how important it is into today's society, bleeds over into so many different aspects of not only just music and fashion and culture, it bleeds over into design as well. And here at Death, it shines hopefully in a positive way. And if it doesn't, hey, what can I say? I can only do what I can do. But I just want to let you guys know that, hey, man, we got so much more in store, and we look forward to hearing back from you all as well. Like, when you watch the podcast, what have you guys been thinking about it? When you watch the web series, it's okay to let us know how you feel. That goes a long ways. And not only does it go a long ways, it goes to show where you fall in line within the the, the story as well. You're a part of this. You really are. To go further back on, elaborate on today's episode of the podcast, when I was saying that we were going to talk about burnout and things like that. I think we should start off with breaking down the definition of what burnout really is. I know we all have our own definitions of it, and I can give you my own, but let's go to our resources and, see what we can do to further elaborate on the understanding that we have so it's not just being based off of our own words. Let's get from other resources. So let's go online and here we go. According to WebMD, when we look up the term burnout, which is very commonly used, however, it is a real term and a real word and a real, I don't want to say phenomenon, but it can kind of is. It says, according to WebMD, oh, hey, has a designer ever told you as a potential client some fancy words that you have no idea what they mean and you give them a look like, what does that mean? Like, literally. One's like topography, tracking, a tittle? What? Um, it happens to everyone at some point or another. Our lives get busy, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I don't want to read a bunch. What is the definition? Burnout is a form of exhaustion caused by constantly feeling swamped. It happens when we experience too much emotional, physical, and mental fatigue for too long. In many cases, burnout is related to one's job. Burnout can happen in any area, so in any other areas of your life and affect your health. Now, with that said, that's the reason why I want to at least get the actual definition from a more trusted resource out there than just relying on my own uh, definition. And I think what they were talking about when it comes down to like the health aspect alone it is very critical to recognize, like to pay attention to when it comes down to burnout, because we use that term of it being more of an emotional connection so much. Oh, I'm burnt out. I just don't feel like it. And yes, that's important to recognize that because your morale is important, but your health is more than just your morale. Your health mentally and physically is important, and stress from your job can hit you in all those aspects, and we recognize that, and we say, man, you know, make sure that you're taking the time to to balance things out. We we recognize that you know here at Deaf we are so excited about the things that we do, and we recognize that we are we're excited and we want to get things going and we want to get people pumped up and all that good stuff. But it still takes time and we can't rush this. And at the same time, we know it has to be done so in a timely manner. And with time, it's only going to pick up with speed, and we have to be ready to, go further and faster, go faster at certain aspects. So we know that if we're doing a lot now, we're only going to have to do more at some point. And because of that, we take precautions and we take time for ourselves to be able to avoid burnout by, doing things like, exercising and working out and spending quality time to ourselves and interacting genuinely with the community that loves and support us and figuring out where else we can further, show our not only our attention and our support, but our love for interaction and interest in learning. Like that's what death is all about. We're not here to talk about just what we've already accomplished or what we're doing. We are always here uh, as a journalist as well to push the envelope to further know more about what is really going on and how we can be an impact and be involved in it because there's so much more than just the surface level of what you see here at death and there's so many more things in store and we look forward to those brands and companies like the ones that we said earlier who impact culture just as much as we want to show how we want to impact culture and create our own culture here as well. I think also to go further about the things that they don't teach you guys about when it comes down to being a creative that I've learned on my own in my journey is like I said the imposter syndrome. Like that's another definition I think we should look into. So I'm gonna take that time and read out the definition of what a imposter syndrome really is. So we can get a definition of that that's more sound. All right, so according to them, it says many people with imposter syndrome know there's a pattern in how they behave. Let's say you have to prepare for a big presentation and you have to work for school. Okay, I don't need to be reading all this, but basically, I should have read the definition of the book earlier. Hey, but this is doing this in real time, so hey, let's see. Where does it say the definition of imposter, imposter syndrome really is? Okay, so imposter syndrome is when you doubt your own skills and successes. You feel you're not as talented or worthy as others believe, and you're scared that one day people will realize that. Although this is not a mental health diagnosis, imposter syndrome can cause real harm in different areas of your life. You might also hear it called as imposter phenomenon, fraud syndrome, or imposter experience. Now, when I think about those alternative definitions or different terms that they use it, interchangeably with, like that alone lets me know that this is something that is definitely uh, not spoken about enough, and maybe it's because it's not enough information about it. However, though, I opened the floor for someone who may be more knowledgeable in that department when it comes down to the psychological breakdown of what imposter syndrome is because we really would love to hear from someone who maybe in the medical field who can tell me more about it. uh, this is a great place to be to do so because I think you know uh, in design alone, the medical field is has a certain aesthetics and a certain look and feel that it's been the same for a while, yet uh, their their industry is important just as much as any other industry when it comes down to design and branding as well. And we open that as well because I think people think automatically when it comes down to design, they automatically just think that oh, you just get on the computer and create something that looks pretty. And no, that's not what design is about. It really is principles and rules to this, and it is a purpose most importantly. And at the end of the day, if it's not really communicating what your audiences needs to grasp from, then you really aren't designing. You're just putting stuff on paper or putting something up for display, I should say. Because it doesn't have to be, it could be, digital. It don't have to be on paper, but still, I think that is something that, people just, for some reason, don't understand. And I know maybe it's because of, not everybody's on the same page as far as what design is, what graphic design entails, how hard it is, what's the ins and outs of it. What's more than just getting some software and knowing it inside and out, because you also have to be able to articulate your thoughts and so much more. But I just think that, man, more people need to understand how it all relates to each other and how the bigger picture is not about, you know, buy this or we're selling this or you need to watch this. No, especially not here at Def. We definitely have things out here for people to be able to engage with and show their support back into the brand, because also we are a business and we have some products that we feel that are unique to the services that we not only are passionate about, but we also just have some cool creative ideas that we wanted to really bring to the market to further just show how deaf we are. Because at the end of the day, we here, we are here to not only complete the task of our clients and and to show the industry what we can do, but we also are here to compete as well. So hey, we need to understand, there is levels to this, and we welcome those who want to collaborate and work with us as well. And that's the reason why every guest that we've had on here on the podcast in the past, man, has been such.
In the crowded world of brands, standing out isn't an option. It's a necessity. What sets Deft apart? It's our dedication to personal, bespoke branding solutions. With just one designer, you get the attention that your brand deserves. From concept to creation, we craft brands that resonate, inspire, and captivate. Your brand deserves to be Deft. Visit devinsdeft.design and let's start creating something amazing together.
Festive, festive, festive.
A welcoming experience on our behalf, because we want people to know, like, hey, man, this ain't just me on here talking. because I want somebody to pay me some attention. No, this is for the community as it has been since day one with our first guest and from every other guest we had since then. Also, from every comment that we ever get left on our videos, all of that matters here at Def. We don't take that for granted. So I just wanted to let you all know that, and hopefully you guys don't think I'm just rambling, but it's important you know how important that we thank you for just the smallest little moment of your time because it goes a long ways. But also that it shows that you are paying attention, and if you're paying attention, we know you're gonna get something out of it, and that's why we put this out here for. So to show you, a little bit, uh, show you a little bit of a experience of what it's like to create a project from, start to finish, especially with this web series as a case study. Like I said, this is a prime example of a branding project that is going to live on for, years to come. And with that, I want to take this time to be able to express to you all like this was not just your typical branding project of I had an idea, I want to tell a story, and let me create some start taking some pictures and creating a cover for it. No, no, it was very organic at the same time. It started with just a spark of an idea by looking at an item, literally, that was on the first episode of the web series, which is on YouTube right now if you haven't already watched it. So if you watch it, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to may be able to spot exactly what symbol or what item sparked the whole concept for Sketchy Success. And literally, I wrote the script for the web series just by looking at that item, and from there, there's moments within the web series here or there that, some improvisation to further tell the story that really work well with with the whole plot. However, it really did come all together organically, and it's not in the typical format because I was working on so many different pieces at one time in real time. So while I was working on Sketchy Scenes, the EP, I was also filming on the side this web series. So there's that duality as far as, some of the songs really not only embody the tone of the story, but they really do just blend well within the story as well, because it seems like as if I was literally creating that as I was filming, and hopefully when you watch, you'll see and you can tell me for, yourself if you see it, if you feel it, if you understand that, that's all part of the branding here that we are creating within the ecosystem of sketchy scenes. These are scenes from a sketchy success story, basically. And at that, I just want to go ahead and close today's out. I want to close out today's episode of the podcast because I think that's a great time so that's a great place to leave on. Sketchy Success is out now, exclusively on Patreon. We have episode 4 coming out this week on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Pacific. Sorry, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Patreon at Devin's Death. And we have other projects that we are working on behind scenes, but as of right now, this is the biggest one that we really want you all to be involved in and share your thoughts and enjoy. You know, as always, continue to keep on being creative, continue to stay engaged, and if anything, if you've learned from us here at Dev, we would love to hear it. Put it down in the comments down below. What did you learn from today's episode of the podcast? I'm Devin. Until next time, peace.
There's stuff that is exclusively only on Patreon to this day that's not going to go nowhere else. So you need to go over to our Patreon and go ahead and just sign up, man. Become a member. You're already fam. Go ahead and become a member so you can not miss some of this key important information and just dope, deaf content. Literally.
It's time.